Okay, so I will talk about loading and running Python. And at UPPMAX, ASP.CA2N, and LUNARC, we call the applications available via the module system modules. So when I'm talking about modules, I mean those that we are loading that give access to programs on the systems. And we have documentation at each of the centers at these links that you can follow. Most of the HPC centers in Sweden are using the same or similar module systems for software. And there's a difference in naming and versions, but other than that, there is very limited difference. The general examples below are thus the same for all and most HPC centers in Sweden. So as long as you just check what the names and the versions are, everything should work. So what are the objectives? Well, we will learn how to load Python, and then we will look at how to run Python script and start Python on the command line. And we have a short cheat sheet here to show you some of the most important commands for the module system. First, see which modules exist, and we do that with module spider or short ML spider. And I have here each of the centers logged into. First here Kebnekaise, then UPPMAX. Kebnekaise is ASP.CA2N, UPPMAX has Rackham and Snowy for the GPUs, and then Cosmos from LUNARC. So I will try to module spider here. And then you will get an output of a great many different types of software. If you want to find module versions for a particular software, you would instead say module spider, for instance, Python. And then you see these are the Python versions that are available. And you can do the same at UPPMAX and at the Cosmos. The difference is that on UPPMAX, Python is with lowercase, whereas Python is with uppercase at Cosmos and Kebnekaise. You can also, for short, write ML spider, and I'm going to do that here. And you see there is a list of Python modules available at each of the centers. We are mainly going to use 3.11.3 at Kebnekaise and at Cosmos, and we are going to use 3.11.8 at UPPMAX. So if you have already loaded something, then more modules will be available. Some of them are available in the hierarchical system, so you often have to load a compiler or something like that to access the other modules. And that is the case mainly at Cosmos and Kebnekaise, whereas at Rackham, you can usually access it directly. So when you have loaded something, you want to see which modules are currently loaded, and you do that with module list, or for short, ML. And as you can see here, I haven't loaded anything yet. Maybe let me find out how I load this Python 3.11.3 that I would like to use. So let's say module spider Python 3.11.3. And then it tells me that there are some prerequisites, namely GCC core 12.3.0. Now, GCC core is part of GCC, so I could also just load GCC, and I'm going to do that now. Here. After doing that, I will do ML or module list to show what I have loaded. And you can see now GCC 12.3.0 and including GCC core 12.3.0 is loaded. I can now do module avail. And as you can see here, if I scroll down a bit, there is several things that are now available. And for instance, if I go down, you would see that this here, Python 3.11.3 is available. The one you see here, Python bundle, contains some Python packages. There's also something called SciPy bundle, but that will be talked about later on the Python packages. But you would use that in order to get to several packages like NumPy and things like this. Okay, we can now load Python 3.11.3, and we are going to do that. And this time I will write module load, and then Python 3.11.3. And with ML, I can see it has now changed. It has now also loaded Python, as you can see. Let us see the same thing at UPPMAX. I would like to load Python 3.11.8. And it tells me I can load it directly. So I will load it, this time with ML, or short for model load, Python 3.11.8. And it takes a little while. Meanwhile, I will check on module spider Python 3.11.3 at Cosmos. And it tells me it has the same prerequisites as at HPC2N. It's here. So I am loading GCC 12.3.0, and I'm loading Python 3.11.3. And as you can see, it is loaded. And here at Rackham, it's also loaded, and it only shows you this here. Okay, so what if you want to get rid of a module? You would do that by saying module unload the module. Or also ML, you can use ML minus the module. So let's try that here. Sorry, module unload Python 3.11.8. It is gone. Let's try loading it again. And then try the other way of unloading it. Again, it is gone. Okay, so you can also get more information about a module with module show the module. So let's try that. And here it tells you things like the path it is going to set when you load the module. And that can be quite useful, and also things contained in it and things like that. So very useful. And what if you have loaded a lot of modules? You can use a module purge to remove them. So I will just do module purge here. It removes everything except the sticky modules, which are modules related to the environment path that needed for the system to work. So let's try and see what do we have here. We do module list. Remember, it's the same as ML. Everything is gone except the sticky modules. Okay, so let's move on. I want to again repeat the module system at UPPMAX, HPC2N, and LUNARC are slightly different. And it is important to say that all modules at UPPMAX not directly related to bioinformatics are shown by ML avail, while modules at HPC2N and LUNARC are hidden until you have loaded prerequisites, usually like the compilers. So you need to see module spider or ML spider, which is the same, just a shortened version of the command, to see all modules at HPC2N and at LUNARC. While at UPPMAX, you would be able to use ML avail to see most of them because they are available to load immediately. You can also use ML avail at HPC2N and LUNARC, but until you have loaded a compiler, you will not see a great many modules there. One thing that is good to know is that when you have you can load several modules on the same line, like this here. And that is a great shortcut. But see here, it's loaded, and I will now remove them. But there is actually one advantage to loading them one at a time, like this here. And the advantage with that is when you then say you want to see which Python was available, for instance, then you would just say module load or ML Python, and then you could hit the tab button and it will autocomplete with the compatible one of them. So if you, for instance, wanted to load a SciPy bundle, which you need for several of the Python packages, now I know that you also need OpenMPI, but this is just an example, so I'm just using it to show you that it will autocomplete to compatible versions now when it sees the ones that are already loaded. So SciPy bundle, it will give you the compatible one. Say you wanted Matplotlib, it will give you the compatible one. So I find that useful. Okay, why would you load a specific version? Well, version that if you just load Python without giving the version, it will load the default one. And the default one may change when we install a newer one. So you should load with version always, because for reproducibility, you want to know which version you loaded. Or maybe you actually need to load that one because whatever other thing you are running only works with that version, or you have installed packages with that version. So it's important. So how do you check for Python versions? Well, as I just showed you, when you have done this module spider Python that works at all the centers. At UPPMAX, you can just do ML avail to see everything that's loadable. And if you just want to see the Python versions, you can do ML avail Python and see everything here. And then you will also get everything else that starts with Python. For instance, the Python machine learning packages, how those are loaded. So. And that is the same for HPC2N and LUNARC. They are similar. So you see the versions of Python, like I showed you, module spider Python, Python with capital P, UPPMAX, lowercase p. So module spider can also be written ML spider. It's the same. And then you can also say module spider Python / the version to see how that is loaded. And for instance, this is how we would write it for 3.11.3. And we will use 3.11.3 or 3.11.8 in the course. And here are some examples for the output. Okay, let's take some time now for you to try and try and see how it works for you. See that you actually can find the Python versions, and then also see if you can see how you load a specific version. Get it to tell you that. And let's just do 2 minutes of that and then come back here and go through how to actually load it, though I already did that. So. Okay, welcome back. So let us talk again about loading the Python module. As I said before, reproducibility, always load the specific module instead of the default one. And as I mentioned earlier, Python 3.11 and whatever minor patch version 3.11.8, 3.11.3 that I installed. And to load a Python module, as I showed you, you do module Python, see what version it is, and then load it. And when you have loaded it, you can do module list or ML to try and see what was loaded. And at HPC2N and at LUNARC, there are prerequisites and also uppercase. So try this. And I should also just quickly mention these before you go to test it yourself. Don't use the system installed Python. There are system installed Python at all the centers. Don't use them. Always use the Python module. They are the one that works with the other modules available. So don't use system installed Python. There are Python 2 and Python 3 modules because there are software that needs Python 2 and there are software that needs Python 3. Because of that, there are both Python 2 and 3 versions installed. Pick the one that you need. And in this course, we're using Python 3. And yeah, that's just how it is. And there are also these comments here, which are mainly for specific centers at UPPMAX and at LUNARC. And you can just read over this. So, but I'm going to give you a couple of minutes now. And then when you have finished that, Rebecca will continue and talk about how to run Python. Okay. I will stop sharing.